So, what happens when that spark of scientific curiosity goes way too far? Today, we're going to be exploring the forbidden chapters of science. We're talking about experiments so dangerous, so ethically out there, that they were deliberately hidden from all of us. Let's step into the dark side of discovery. I mean, how far is too far in the name of science? It's a question that honestly haunts the entire history of innovation. We all love progress, right? But what happens when that pursuit crosses a major ethical line? At what point does curiosity become, well, a curse? And when does ambition become a danger to every single one of us? That's the tightrope we're going to be walking today. Yeah, we're looking at those exact moments, those times when the drive to understand or to create or even to control just completely ignored the human cost. And let me be clear, these aren't just simple mistakes or lab accidents. Oh no. These are cautionary tales, stories of ambition that just spiraled into utter tragedy and terror. So, here's what we're gonna do. We're counting down 5 of the most shocking, classified, and flat-out dangerous experiments of the 20th century. You've probably heard of some of these, but others, well, they've been buried for decades. And trust me, all of them will make you question what science is even supposed to be. Okay, let's get right into our countdown. We're starting with numbers 5 and 4, and both were born from this really bizarre mix of medical curiosity and a whole lot of political paranoia. All right, coming in at number 5 is an experiment so visually disturbing, it's the kind of thing that's really hard to forget once you hear about it. Brace yourself for this one. Yeah, you read that right, a 2-headed dog. And look, this wasn't just some crude attachment. The Soviet scientist Vladimir Demikhov created a creature where both heads were fully functional. They could see, they could hear, they could even drink, all on their own. He had literally created a true biological chimera, a living, breathing testament to his incredible surgical skill, no matter how horrifying the result was. But, and this is a huge but, here's the twist. As absolutely horrifying as this experiment sounds, Demikhov's work, his pioneering techniques in blood vessel surgery and transplantation, they were foundational. His work, believe it or not, directly paved the way for the life-saving human organ transplants we have today. A really disturbing path to progress, to say the least. Okay, let's move on to number 4. This one, well, it completely blurs the line between a top-secret military project and a full-blown urban legend. So, the official story, if you can even call it that, was all about making a ship invisible to radar. I mean, think about it, a huge strategic advantage in World War II. But the legend that grew around it, that's pure nightmare fuel. People started telling stories that the USS Eldridge didn't just disappear from radar, it vanished entirely, teleported, only to reappear hundreds of miles away, with sailors from the crew gruesomely fused into the ship's metal bulkheads. It's a chilling legend, for sure, born from the intense secrecy of wartime science. Okay, now we're moving into the heart of the Cold War. This is where the sheer paranoia and fear of the enemy pushed science into even darker, more dangerous territory. And at number 3 on our list, we have an object, a thing, something so dangerous it actually earned itself a terrifying nickname. So this wasn't exactly an experiment in the way you might think. It was a piece of one. This 14-pound sphere of plutonium, it was the core intended for a 3rd atomic bomb, right after Hiroshima and Nagasaki. But twice, on 2 separate fatal occasions, this seemingly harmless-looking piece of metal became catastrophically deadly, right in the hands of the very scientists who were studying it. And this just shows you the razor's edge these guys were working on. Okay, picture this. In the second accident, a physicist named Louis Slotin was using a simple flathead screwdriver to keep 2 halves of a beryllium sphere, a reflector, separated from the plutonium core. His screwdriver slipped, just for a second. The sphere closed, and in an instant, the core went supercritical. There was this intense flash of blue ionizing radiation. Slotin knew immediately what he'd done, and he died an agonizing 9 days later. Just a horrifying, tragic reminder of what one tiny human error could cost. And that brings us to number 2, an experiment not on atoms or ships or animals, but on the human mind itself. You've probably heard the name, Project MKUltra. This was a classified, completely illegal program run by the CIA for 20 years. And its goal? It was straight out of a spy thriller, mind control. The reality, though, was way darker. It was a terrifying abuse of power where they used unwitting,
unsuspecting American and Canadian citizens as human guinea pigs.
And the methods they used, they were brutal and just inhumane. They were giving people massive doses of drugs like LSD without their knowledge. They were using extreme sleep deprivation, psychological abuse, you name it. All of this was done in the secret pursuit of a way to completely control the human will. To this day, it's one of the biggest betrayals of public trust by a government agency ever. All right, we've arrived at number 1, the ultimate taboo. This project crosses a line that very few scientists have ever even dared to approach. This is what happens when scientific ambition is put in the service of war and taken to its most unsettling conclusion. This is arguably the most forbidden experiment of the entire 20th century. And no, this is not science fiction, I promise you. In the 1920s, a Soviet biologist named Ilya Ivanov was officially funded and tasked with creating a human-ape hybrid. His research involved trying to artificially inseminate chimpanzees with human DNA, and, get this, vice versa. He was even planning to try inseminating human women with ape DNA. The goal was literally to create a new breed of being, to break one of nature's most fundamental rules. But why? What was the point? Well, the alleged objective was something straight out of a dystopian nightmare. They wanted to breed an invincible, hypermuscular super soldier, a worker race that was insensitive to pain, basically beings that have the strength of an ape, but just enough intelligence to follow orders. A controllable, disposable army. It's the ultimate perversion of science in the pursuit of raw power. So after that incredibly dark journey, what's the takeaway? What do these stories of forbidden science really tell us about, well, about us? So let's just do a quick recap. At number 5, with the two-headed dogs, we saw progress at a price. With number 4, the Philadelphia experiment, it was all about science versus legend. Number 3, the Demon Core, was a brutal lesson in hubris and human error. Number 2, Project MKUltra, showed us the Peronia of power. And finally, at number 1, the human-ape hybrid was all about unchecked ambition. Every single one is a powerful and unique warning. You see the common thread running through all of these, right? It's a warning. A huge warning about what happens when scientific ambition isn't guided by ethics, when paranoia is what's driving the research, and when the desire for a result, any result, completely outweighs our own humanity. And that really just leaves us with one final, pretty heavy question. We've looked back at the horrors of the 20th century, but what about tomorrow? I mean, with things like gene editing, artificial intelligence, and scientific frontiers we can't even imagine yet, what ethical lines are we about to cross? What do you think will be the forbidden science of our time?